Hey, what's up? This is Todd from the Calico Syndicate, and we're doing an all-access pass today on how to maximize the use of these Yeti coolers. One of the things that you definitely want to do first off is to pre-chill this cooler, and that's how you're going to get the longest use out of the ice that you put in there. So for pre-chilling, what we usually like to do is maybe a few days before your trip, get a bag of ice, throw it in the cooler, and fill the rest up with water. And let that soak. Let it sit for 24, 48 hours if you can. Get the cooler nice and cold. When you're done with that, you empty that out, load whatever you need inside of it, and then lay the ice on top, and you're going to be good to go for 4, 5, maybe even 6, 7 days, depending on where you're at. So definitely pre-cool that. Pre-cool your Yetis before you go out. The next thing we want to talk about is this little gasket inside. This is what keeps everything inside nice and cool. So you want to make sure this is pushed down all the time. So when you are using your Yeti, you don't want to leave it unlatched on your boat or in your trailer or wherever you're using it. Definitely to maximize that gasket, you're going to pop these down and make sure that it's sealed all the time and keeping your ice nice and cold and whatever else is in there. All right, so the reason why the ice in your cooler melts a lot of the time is because of the airspace you have in there. After day 1, day 2 of your trip, you're pulling stuff out, drinking a few beers, eating up those steaks, whatever you have. Now all of a sudden you have airspace in your cooler, and that air is what's going to make your ice melt. So one of the things that we usually do on our trips is we'll throw things in. As we start pulling stuff out, we'll throw things in. Usually we like things that are waterproof, that aren't going to absorb any water. Piece of foam, a pool noodle, empty water bottles. The last trip we were on, we had Churchill fins in there. That's something we usually have on the boat to get those cool underwater shots. So throw those in there. Anything that you have that's not going to absorb water, as you take stuff out, throw that in. If you have beach towels, throw them in a big plastic bag and stick them in there. Anything that's going to take up space is going to get you to day 5, 6, and even 7 on that ice. One of the other things, these coolers aren't cheap. When you first hear about Yeti coolers, it's kind of a price shock, but once you use one, you know it's all worth it because you're saving tons of money in ice. So you want to lock that Yeti cooler too. Yeti sells locks that they have, and it definitely is going to be worthwhile to lock it up and make sure that Yeti cooler stays with you and not somebody else. So another thing that's really important is to make sure you rinse these if you have them in the salt. Rinse them, dry them real good. Make sure the inside is dry when you store it. Take that drain plug out. Okay, keep the drain plug inside. Allowing that drain plug to be out is going to let it dry nicely inside. You close it up with the drain plug and you're sealing in all that moisture, and you're going to have a moldy little surprise when you open it back up. All right, another little cheap Yeti accessory that will come in handy is having a little extra pack of these drain plugs. These things get lost, they get unscrewed. You never know where you're going to be when you lose your drain plug. You lose your drain plug and you're done for the trip. So these are worthwhile little investment. Keep them with you at all times, and you never know when you're going to need one. So when you're moving your Yeti from spot to spot, you always want to make sure to use these handles. Lift it up off the ground. You don't want to be dragging this thing around. It's got these non-skid, non-marking rubber feet on it, which are really important on the deck of a boat. So try to avoid dragging this thing anywhere. Use the handles. Get a couple people if you need to and lift it from spot to spot.